Hey there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Friday Night Spotlight, brought to you by Jones Ford Buick GMC, your hometown dealer for more than 50 years. Well, we've reached the halfway mark to the season for our smaller schools, 3A and 2A, and just picking things right off, our game of the week is a Thursday game, and it is Apache Junction hosting Gilbert Mesquite. Now, Apache Junction is one of our two Pinal County schools who are still undefeated. They are 3-0 this season, whereas Mesquite is 2-1. Their loss was in the season opener to Glendale Cactus, and I think this is going to be one heck of a matchup, so let's just jump right into this. David, what are you expecting in this game?
Well, you said it right off the bat. It's going to be one heck of a matchup between two really good offenses, but for Apache Junction, it's going to come down to Gavin Lamangelo for me. He's the quarterback for the team. He's done it both with his arm and his legs. He's currently second on the team in rushing yards, so he's a big dual-threat quarterback for them. He's that kind of guy. And then it also brings me to a big part of their offense, Isaiah Savoy. He's averaging about 7 yards a carry, and those two are the huge 1-2 punch they have for this team, for this Apache Junction team, and they're a very good offensive team that are going to try and score a lot of points. Now, Mesquite is no slouch either. They are currently 2-1, but I think they have a big test. They're going to be a big test for the prospectors here. Mesquite is led by quarterback Gerondo Sines, who, get this, is also the team's punter. So if he incompletes a pass and it becomes fourth down, he doesn't get off the field. He goes right back out there and kicks the ball to the other team, so that's pretty interesting. But all jokes aside, Sines has been really good, has a really good start to this year, 578 passing yards on 7 touchdowns. He does have a little bit of a weakness with some interceptions and turnovers. He's got 4 interceptions this year so far. So I think for Apache Junction, it's going to come down to the turnover battle in that win. If they're able to come out the win, they're going to have to stay on top of their wide receivers, make sure their defensive backs are covering them well in the backfield, and to make sure that they can possibly get those picks and get those quick turnovers to get them on the offensive side of the ball. I think AJ wins the battle, moves to 4-0, and stays undefeated, and being one of the only undefeated teams left in our Pinal County field of sports.
So, David mentioned too, Apache Junction head coach Bruce Binkley likes to call his offensive weapons the triplets, and that includes Lamangelo Savoy and also wide receiver Cameron Garcia. Look for these 3 guys. David mentioned what Lamangelo can do and Isaiah Savoy, but Garrett Garcia is also equally as impressive. He's Lamangelo's go-to guy, and the thing about these 3 is not only can they do it on the offensive side of the ball, but they also do it on the defensive side of the ball, which, speaking of Lamangelo, this is pretty interesting given the 4A conference. You rarely see a quarterback play defense also. So it's going to be interesting to see how these 3 guys can also impact the game defensively and trying to stop running back Blake Corner for Mesquite. He has 204. Last week he had 204 rushing yards on 19 carries and 1 touchdown. Defensively, Mesquite, the team has 7 sacks and 4 interceptions, so that's also something we're going to have to keep an eye out on to see what they can do to defend Lamangelo and the rest of the prospectors. David, is there anything else that stands out for you in this game?
I think it's just what we've been saying before. It's going to be a good offensive game, and it's going to come down to the defenses, and if they're able to stop them and get the quickly turnovers that they need to win the game. I still have Apache Junction winning this one. I think they're one of the best teams that we cover here in Pinal County, so I think they stay 4-0 or go to 4-0 and stay undefeated.
Okay, I do want to add about Apache Junction's game last week against Buckeye Yunker. They won 51-38. They were leading real big at halftime, but in the second half, they got a little sloppy. Their mentality kind of slipped a little bit, and penalties were very costly. And in order to beat a Mesquite team, they're really going to have to bring their A game and play a very clean game, because Mesquite is definitely going to capitalize on those mistakes. And that does it for our breakdown of the game of the week. Now we're moving over into our picks portion. David, what game do you have your eye on this week?
I got the Cougars this week. I'm talking CG Union against Seton Catholic. CG Union is coming off a huge blowout win over Maricopa. They won 55-0 on the road, and it has really been the Angel Flores and RJ Keaton show down there for the Cougars. Keaton has not slowed down since being named High School Player of the Week by the Arizona Cardinals. Just under 500 yards rushing on the season with 7 scores. So he's been an absolute stud for them. And Flores is putting in another stellar season. He's over 500 yards passing, over 300 yards rushing, 7 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. It's a quarterback-running back duo is what is really making this team go. And then for Seton Catholic, they're 2-1 with their only loss coming off of Deer Valley 2 weeks ago. And their quarterback, Jake Morris, has been a stud for the Sentinels. 804 passing yards, 10 touchdowns. And of those 10 touchdowns, 7 of them have been caught by senior wideout Mikey Williamson. So it's really a battle between two 1-2 punches. With for CG Union, it's Angel Flores and RJ Keaton. And then for Seton Catholic, it is Mikey Williamson and Jake Morris. So that's going to be the real matchup to watch. It's going to be a quarterback wide receiver matchup to me versus on offense versus a quarterback running back matchup, and see what these two teams can do. It will really come down to the defenses in this one to get the timely stops. We've always been talking about it. Defense wins championships and defense wins games. So you can have a great offense, but you need to be able to stop the ball on the other side when you need to. So it's really going to come down to that, but I think this is going to be a great offensive matchup. It's going to be an awesome game, and I like both teams' abilities. I think it's a great matchup, but I think CG Union is just too much on too much of a roll right now. I got the Cougars taking the win in this one.
All right, so that does it for the game David has his eye on. The game I have my eye on this week is Florence at Santan Foothills. Now, this is a Pinal County matchup between two schools, and both schools have started off kind of rocky this season. Florence barely got their first win last week against Phoenix Burritos Prev 49-3, and Santan Foothills is still looking for that first win. They are 0-4. Now, this is the first year under head coach Mike Carlin, and he is very familiar with this Gophers team. He was the former assistant for the football team last year. He was also the head track and field coach, so he really knows these players, and it's going to be interesting to see what kind of game plan he sets up for the SaberCats to defeat his former team. Florence, you know, there's a lot of similarities. Neither team really has been able to establish a running game, and they really rely heavily on their quarterback. Florence has a sophomore in Jet Scott. Over his first 3 games, he had over 334 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. His go-to targets are Davin Neal and Tommy Carberry. Tommy has been very good for the Gophers both offensively and defensively. He leads the team with 2 interceptions for 80 yards. And for Santan Foothills, it's going to be senior quarterback Brett Lincoln. It's been a very rough high school career for Lincoln. It seems like every single year he has a different head coach. So it's understandable that it's been a struggle for him to kind of find his groove offensively. Just overall, I think Florence has a little more offensive weapons than Foothills, and I'm going to take Florence in this game. And real quickly, we're going to throw up our picks for all the other games happening this week, and that pretty much does it for this week's Friday Night Spotlight. Be sure to check out PinalCentral.com this weekend for all of your local football game coverage.